Okay, so hello, this is Attila 16 and this is a live stream of actually a Wargame Airland battle replay. Today I decided to take it easy, so I'll just be showing perhaps a few replays of Wargame. Had some pretty good game lately. And since the replay allows me to focus a little more on the close to the ground action, that might allow us to enjoy the visual of the game as opposed to just the rational part of it. So essentially in this game I was with Russia and we were fighting NATO, of course, and I was on the left side, and if we just take a small peek at what kind of troops I had a couple of anti-air here. I did charge with the BRDM-2 Strela 1M, which are a bunch of anti-air but very mobile, and they don't use the radar, which is particularly useful for not being shot at by a seed plane. Then I called in a lot of T-34. Now what's important to know is that this is actually a domination mission. So the goal here was to control those zones and not necessarily to kill the enemy. Now it seems that our enemies did not really notice that fast enough, and as a result of this they decided to just camp over there, which led them to sadly a defeat, I suppose. But that's not what will be interesting about this battle here. It's more the action which will go on my side. Because we probably could have simply hold this position and just wait for the game to end, but we decided to keep pushing because I have a tendency to be a little aggressive in this. And since this was domination, you can lose as many troops as you want and you won't necessarily care. So T-34 are a really good tank to lose, actually, because it only costs 10, so it's not particularly expensive. So when you charge with them, you can afford to lose many of them. And I had a large quantity of them, so I took advantage of this. And the thing is that there was a couple of ATGM Milan in there, so charging with T-34 was a good way to dislodge them without necessarily slowing down. I can see that they also put some ATGM units in there, and my T-34 were really there to receive most of the punishment. So as a result of this, we spotted quickly that there was many units in there, and we were able to take the appropriate measure against that. The Aardvark are bombarding my T-80B. They did manage to kill one. T-80B is rather affordable. It has a missile. It's not as good as some other T-80. But as you can see, so far they receive 2 Aardvark strike, 1 Nighthawk strike. So they survived the thing. Well, on this side, my choppers are suppressing the enemy in the town, or in the complex over there. So the thing is that since that was domination, advancing forward was the key of everything. So that's why I ended up being rather aggressive, and the enemy was rather defensive. But they probably should have been offensive, if you ask me. I have a couple of BMPs here which are disposing of a few infantry in there. Now, what was interesting in this game was how, first of all, they were really defensive, while the rest of the fight did not really. It wasn't as aggressive as what happened on our side, and most of it remained static. Most of the action happened here. And I had a lot of vehicle, not many tools to dispose of infantry in those that complex here. So my chopper were pretty much my main tool. With the assistance of some napalm strike. While our enemies really did invest an enormous amount of points in planes and airstrike. So for a good portion of the game we ended up building up our offensive to take that position here. And you can see, perhaps if we go neutral here, you can see that the enemy really did expect us to come up that hill. And they really should have probably attacked us. It will have ended up into a fight for that valley here. But it's clear that defending like they did here will inflict us quite a bit of loss. Okay, switching back to my view. But I clearly knew that they will put themselves into that kind of position, so that's why I decided to just take position, build up my force, not necessarily attack yet. Because I knew that up there wouldn't be likely a lot of stuff shooting at us. I can see my infrared launcher here, taking care of some recon. While here I move some Strela into the town. While Strata are really bad for urban fighting, I think I mostly moved them there for recon purpose. Also moved to perhaps secure this area. I can see how the enemy actually blew up 4 of my anti-air Strela. But the thing is, my deck is designed so that I can afford losing such things. Here with my T-34, I'm chasing down those chasseurs, so that this area will be clear of enemy presence, because this is an area which they could easily use at well, for having a visual on us and target us easily and effectively. Yes, this is actually a replay prior to the last patch. After that, I'll show you a replay which is with the latest patch. So I guess we might be able to see a difference. But essentially, I think I played this probably 2 or 3 days ago. So, and yeah, well, actually, that probably was just prior to the last patch. So I guess we'll be able to see if there's much of a difference between the replays, actually. But so essentially here, what I did is I decided to invest my T-34 into chasing those chasseurs away. Now that ended up making my T-34 go crossfire, which is a bad idea, by the way. Make them panic, but it also can damage them. Tanks are not immune to fire, sadly. I'm not showing much of it, but there's quite a near presence above us. You can even see some eagle over here, chasing down my Mi-24. And I knew that this will likely turn into a big air fight above us. So I brought a lot of BMP-1P with anti-air infantry in it, which I plan to deploy around here. This will allow me to potentially create a kind of interception zone on that hill. Since, well, in this version of the game, yeah, you could still bring reinforcements from the side, but now all the reinforcements from that side, they are coming from this direction. So by putting infantry and anti-infantry here, you're able to spot the enemy faster, but you're also able to intercept them potentially. So that's why you can see me move my BMP with anti-air over that hill in group of 2 to reduce potential loss from airstrike. If we take a small peek about what kind of opposition we have in front, I can see that they are really focusing on just putting a lot of missile around the forest there. So it's really a dead trap to move there. I seem to be doing some airstrike. With success, actually. Or it might not be me. No, it's not me. So somebody decided to bring a lot of planes and bombard the whole place. Well, in my case, I just was starting to build up a force to take that hill. Because the thing is that if the enemy has troops on that hill, you have a visual on whatever we have around here. While if we have that hill, then we have a visual what's on what's over here, but as well as here, we also have an early warning system up to a certain point against planes, so we're spotting them faster, and that will allow our anti-air to take care of them. And while this is happening on the side, we're building up our force to potentially, hopefully, take this position. While we have some pretty good artillery, which is bombarding those guys. That's actually a marine unit, I think. Which is very unclearly good or bad. It's never clear. But it's only good at short range. It might have a fast rate of fire though. You can see that there's some fight for that zone here because they want a visual on us. So I will, and they keep bombarding us. As you can see, napalm strike. We have a couple of anti-radar planes flying around. And they keep reinforcing the zone, the forest zone, with the ATGM units. Well, here I decided to make a blind strike on the enemy forest, hoping to destroy any command vehicle. Sadly, it did not work. Now let's see how much did I... So actually, I did hit it. There's only 1 point of health remaining, but I had no way of knowing that because this thing is a tank, so it didn't manage to survive. I can see that there's a lot of anti-air, we're receiving artillery, and we have no clue where the command vehicle is, but he's right here. So the problem we had was that the enemy air force was really present. There was so many of them, and they kept coming during all the game. So even though we brought a lot of anti-air, like infantry, strata, And we did kill quite a few of those enemies. They just bombarded so much that we had to replace our anti-air capacity as they come, because each time they were bombarded. You can see my Strela also fired their missile and got out of ammo pretty quick. Was an AMX-40 in that forest here, and these are actually pretty good. Now this guy right here decided to push forward, but with the amount of troops he had, that was probably a bad idea. But it did allow us to notice the large amount of missile flying toward us. So when you see that amount of missile, it's clear that you will not manage to go through. I can also see that the MX-40 is killing his T-55A pretty easily. But T-55A is like a unit that costs 20, so it's not surprising. Now that's why I brought some MiG-21 to take care of that AMX-40. So I lost one MiG-21 in the process, 2 MiG-21. I like the MiG-21 because it's really cheap, and so you can afford to lose it. If you lose it, you won't necessarily give too many points to the enemy, and since it's really inexpensive, you can call many in a row. So if you call, for example, 3 of them, the first one will likely take all the punishment, and the other one will likely survive. So you use one, which is a sacrificing one, so he will die most likely, and the other one will do the job. Yeah, I was building up my AA coverage, but it's just that we lost many AA in the process. As you can see here, I'm bringing some flag gun. What's interesting about these FLA, SFL 57-2 is that they don't have radar. So if the enemy actually bring anti-radar planes, they won't be affected. And also they are really inexpensive, so they can suppress when you bring them in large number. And in large number, they will end up killing. Also, I had some Strela, but the thing is that they brought so many planes that we constantly ran out of ammo. So the supply were a little low. Additionally, my Strela on that hill kept receiving bombs, and they were out of ammo, as you can notice here. I did a few airstrike on some valuable target. What were these? These were Avengers, some VAB probably with infantry in them, so nothing particularly amazing. So I think up to a certain point this game was a lot about reinforcing my, well, resupplying my troops. And NATO was really focusing on air units. Well, here we were building up some land forces. Now let's check how many enemies there was. I can see that they have a couple of chopper here. And anti-air. Lots of ATGM units. The AMX-10P with Milan. It's an okay vehicle. I guess it's not specialized and it's not super strong, but if you spread them around in large number, it can become very effective. That seemed. Yeah, the enemy thought that we had infested this hill, which was up to a certain point true, but not totally. We only had a few anti-air, some Spetsnaz. But the thing is that I think if you want to attack this position, having this hill is crucial because it gives you a visual on whatever is over here. As you can see, my problem here was that my BRDM anti-air were constantly out of ammo, and they kept sending planes non-stop. But you can see that we killed many in the process. It's just that they still had time to drop their bombs. And there was no real... it was a bad idea to bring, let's say, Hawk, because the Hawk, it's a really good anti-air. It's pretty much the best one. But with the rate at which the enemy brought air units, it just was too risky to bring a Hawk. It will have likely be destroyed because they will have been exposed visually to artillery fire. There was a lot of artillery falling on us. And secondly, they just had so many planes. As you can see, they even sent Eagle right into our anti-air. Well, here we fought a little for that passage. By bringing the fight here, we will probably brought some attention to that zone, but they decided to entrench themselves pretty good in there. So that's why I mostly did fight over here for just the purpose of attracting their attention, because I did not have the kind of troop necessary to take a town which is infested with ATGM. But my Mi-25 did well. Now let's see what kind of opposition was in there, because I have no idea, I never took a look. Now they did put, what are these? Okay, that's a bunch of commandos. TGM Dragon 2, which is a unit which no longer exists. I think it was replaced by Mountaineer. I can see that they are bringing a lot of troops to capture back that hill. And they have some reserve in that area. Also, I seem to be building up my anti-air system here. Yep. And those flag guns are pretty much what I'm bringing, because I can bring a large quantity, and with the amount of airstrike they were doing and artillery strike, I think the cheap anti-air way was the best way to go. Here there was some infantry fighting. I had some special forces, which I did not particularly well manage, but I guess it was good enough. Because I was kind of divided with building up a proper anti-air presence here and fighting here. So I could not really pay attention on both sides. Up to a certain point, this game really requires you to be cautious about everything you do. So, as I said to somebody lately, concerning does it require a lot of micromanagement, I will say that yeah, if you put your unit well around the battlefield, you can end up killing the entire enemy army without touching them again. But if you neglect any of your troops, you might lose everything at the same time. So that's what is fun about this game. Yeah, the SFL 57 is pretty good against plane. I mean chopper. So you can see them suppressing the enemy choppers, which are just popping up here. Well, the enemy chopper did return fire, but each time I think they actually lost visual on us. And for example, here you have some Apache with Hellfire missile, and these missiles are really expensive in terms of supplies. So if they kill an FLA with those Hellfire, I'm not sure it's cost effective. Yeah, I'll try to zoom in more. It's just that in this game there's so much going on that it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. That's what is special about this game, is that visually it looks really great up close, but it's just that the way you play it, you need to be zoomed out. Seems that here I did a small move to intercept the infantry with my choppers. And there was one anti-air over there. So I prioritize the destruction of this while chasing down the different enemies. So the thing is that, as you can see, while I was mostly focusing on fighting around here, I also kept the attention all the way here. And my intention in that zone was to make sure that this position will not be compromised. Because, as I said previously, this is a conquest game mode, so as a result the goal was to hold the zone, and right now it was a draw. As you can see here with the smoke, the enemy kept bombarding us with artillery. Seems that these BMP had a visual on something. We can see without all the cards around the place what it looked like. As you can see, constant artillery bombardment. I'm not sure why they were... Okay, I see now. Look, here there was some Hawk launcher, and it's likely what the artillery was bombarding. That's why I went with cheap anti-air like that. It's because I knew that the thing is that the Hawk launcher are not numerous, so as a result of this, if you lose them, you cannot really replace them, so it's gone forever. And that's why relying on a large quantity of inexpensive unit that you can spread around is much more suitable when you have an enemy which bombard you with artillery. Chieftain tank are pretty good usually. But the mistake this guy did was that he exposed it, well, he exposed his tank to our ATGM infantry fire over there. So as a result of this, he wasted them. And we started to have a good build-up of troops here. But some crazy fast infantry over there. Very exposed in the open field. Fortunately, these were just reservists, and they received quite an airstrike or something on the head. While here, my anti-air defense kept increasing. So if any plane went by, they would have been shut down or seriously damaged. So that one interesting aspect of damaging the enemy plane is that it takes a while to fix them. So if you destroy the enemy plane, it will be replaced quickly by just buying a new one. But if you damage them, then it's much better. So I decided to do some scouting with T-34 here, apparently. I don't remember that part. Well, here you can see my anti-air killing everything. So yeah, that's why I went too fast there. Support and our planes are really good snipe stuff. But they are not worth wasting over some BMP. So here I decided, yeah, here it was just keeping the pressure. I used T-34, which means I did not really believe in the attack over there. While here we saw some Marines, so we had to take care of that, get rid of them, because it revealed our position. Now let's see what they saw. Now if we look, this is what they saw from us. So you can see that they had a good visual. I don't know how honest from there. They might have. It's probably because of the Gazelle right here, which revealed a lot of our troops. And the artillery really never stopped. That was kind of ridiculous. I deployed my anti-air into that line like this because there might have been infantry in there. I'm not sure if there was actually. And there was a few reservists here. But with anti-air, it's not really good against infantry, which is very sad. So they decided to make a kind of push against us with tank, French tank, which is a bit of a questionable choice. And in reaction to this, I called in a couple of MiG-21 that made this attack much weaker. So this guy clearly wasted his stuff, but I think he did kill a few of my AA, but these AA are worth 20, so that's like nothing. Well, here I disposed of this AMX-30, which is an expensive unit, I think, or a good unit I should say. Here we go with more artillery. The thing is that artillery up to a certain point, all they do is focus on weak unit like anti-air, and that's pretty much what artillery is all about. So by bringing in very inexpensive anti-air, you're just making them waste a lot of ammo without necessarily giving them much in return. This thing looked like a wreck. Okay, let's see what kind of situation we're in now on their side. They still haven't really moved out of there. They seem to be running out of supplies though, and they're not sending their trucks to any FOBs. They only bring a few Pat in here as a kind of distraction, probably to bait us and make us think, oh look, that seemed to be a badly defended place. But I don't think any of us fell for it. So here I had a few Strela, which encounter a few Marines. But Strela are just no match. Don't engage them against other infantry or anything. It's only good against air. I might only use them sometime to recon the enemy position, but even there, that's not the appropriate way to recon something. Did manage to push a little here, which something I did not notice. And here as well, there was I don't know what happened in the center, but it wasn't particularly defended. But I saw the flaw in the strategy, and I sent a command vehicle over there, since this is conquest, so I decided to just risk a command vehicle just to annoy the enemy and make them lose a few points. I can see how actually here I moved my T-34 because I wanted to cover that T-72, or what was it? I think there was some valuable tank. Yeah, there was some T-72, so I wanted my T-34 to take the punishment as opposed to any valuable target that we might have. So I sacrificed my troop to protect the better troops, but it was kind of in vain because there was too many ATGM units over there. And I think the other player here was kind of distracted because risking a Tunguska is a very bad idea. Tunguska are valuable because they are really good against chopper. It's kind of surprising how this guy didn't manage to keep his mortar around for a good portion of the fight. You can see the amount of wreck that we have by the side of that hill, that there was some fighting. And since this game lasted quite a bit, by the end it must be quite a mess. If that was Supreme Commander, we could simply harvest all the metal. As you can see, at this point they don't send any more planes, so I guess they probably ran out. Or at least they are more conservative about it. And noticing that, I think what I did at this point is probably modify my approach. Now let's see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm pulling back some Mi-25 that were probably engaged in the center. Yeah, I probably did miss what I did here, but I did kill a few tanks perhaps. It's just that the counterattack was a little too strong, so I pulled back and left the area. Well, here I'm still sneaking around with a few infantry. These are some anti-air, you can see them here, very tiny unit. And now Mr. decided that he will attack, so he did the right thing by deploying smoke, because the enemy mostly had a lot of ATGM. So noticing that, what did I do? I had some T-80 which were there, some supplies. I sent my chopper all the way back to resupply their ammo, which were supplied by who's that? Okay, somebody. Oh yeah, and while here, I brought in a lot of, I think these were actually recon. My intention there was to make sure that this hill was clear and potentially attack that town over there. And as you can see, the enemy are actually bringing a lot of troops in this area. They're reinforcing the position, which is something that I don't think I noticed at the time. So you can see here I really had a lot of troops. And the thing is, I'm using Mi-25 as transport because the Mi-25 has that Yak-B cannon there, which is very effective at killing enemy choppers, as well as to suppress nearly anything. And my troops in there were FGB-40, which is German troops that have anti-tank and anti-air capacity. They are not super good against infantry, but they can do a good job, I guess. My intention there was really to simply make it stronger on that hill against plane. And here the offensive started. So you can see a lot of valuable Russian tank just coming across the hill and suppressing whatever is around. With a Ural leading the way. And a lot of planes following. So what was good in this offensive is how the Russian tank in this case were really effective at shooting the enemy from afar. It was a rather surprising attack as well for the enemy. They brought quickly some tank, but those tanks are French tank, which are not super amazing. They are okay, but could be better. And what happened here is that the Russian tank ended up out of ammo. I can see all the air war going on. This is the part where I brought a couple of choppers to support the offensive. Actually, that's more than a few. That's all my troop transport which I had previously. Now, I must say I was kind of lazy about the way I brought all those choppers because I kept them together and kind of make them very exposed to enemy cluster bomb strike as well as anti-air. But since that was conquest, there was just no point in being more careful. So you can see that my chopper did suppress quite a bit the enemy troops, and you can also see that the enemy is answering this with a lot of aardvark. So they are bombarding and destroying some of my choppers using aardvark. They killed probably maybe 6. You can see my anti-air suppressing the enemy planes. Up to a certain point, my choppers end up being a kind of way to attract the enemy toward my anti-air. Here the napalm strike has actually prevented the enemy from directly shooting my choppers, because it impaired their visual. Now we can see the extent of the enemy presence into the wood. My chopper are suppressing that. I'm also bringing some of my T-80B, which are using their missile to fire on whatever they see. Now the problem the enemy had was that they brought all their anti-air, but they all came from that side, all bunched up, and as a result of this, you can see me send some MiG-21. Now one of them actually did not target, but you can see that that did dispose of many anti-air. My T-80B are suppressing the Leopard 2 over there. As you can see, this is pretty much a messy zone now. There has been so many cluster bomb strike that it looked like the moon. And more packed chopper are coming in. But they're dying because when you group up your chopper, any anti-air with the HE capacity might end up killing them pretty well. Now, fortunately, with these Mi-24, he did manage to scout a little this area, so we had a clue what was down there. My T-80B are firing also on the enemy units which are revealed by those choppers. So that was a worthy waste. And T-80B are really good because of those missiles. It's just that you don't have many of them, so you make them count. My tank are maximized in terms of experience, so that's why each time they fire nearly they hit, unless they lose visual contact on the enemy. Now there's quite an air presence around, once again. We'll have expected the enemy to run out of plane earlier, but nope. There's now a wreck of all type, all form, all shape. I'm pulling back my T-80B to resupply them. There's no point exposing them right now. We have managed to temporarily neutralize the zone, but he's moving away the command vehicle to dodge the enemy artillery, which is a smart move. Well, here, let's just take a small look at this. Seems that my troops received a few napalm strike. We also replied with a lot of napalm strike over there. Now, my troops are resupplying here, but they're receiving a few airstrike on the head. Which is very unfortunate. As you can see, that hurt. You can see here a couple of Strela BRDM, which I maximize in terms of experience. And with these guys, you're able to shoot down nearly any plane. And they have a really fast firing rate. As long as the plane is very close, you'll be able to shoot them down. I can see here that I do have a few Mi-24 in reserve. The enemies keep bringing up a couple of anti-air. Which is a smart move. The only problem they have is that they are all bunched up and we have a lot of anti-ground vehicle. That will be a good strike there. I'm finally moving my choppers in. Now the reason why I'm moving them to the right is because of all those anti-air. I wanted to preserve my chopper. Well, yeah, here I actually managed to sneak a commando unit. And also put a few of my commando into a position where they could potentially see the enemy. Oh yeah, and here, while we briefly had the zone, I called in some T-34 just for the sake of it and fun of it. While my MiG-21 are making some strike on the forest. And that I send my chopper for scouting purpose to figure out where the command vehicle is. I find it. And destroy it. So now the zone is actually under our control for the moment. And you can see that the enemy is actually reacting to that with a lot of plane once again. And now it's all a matter of capturing the zone, make sure that there's no enemy remaining around. You can see how they are really sending a lot of eagle around. Not sure why they are wasting them that much. I don't really believe that flying above the enemy is a good way to achieve air superiority. The AMX-32 here. They're receiving a lot of missile. Okay, now the zone is ours. Well, this guy is calling in some T-64 a little too early. Because while we do have the zone and we have the capacity to call in reinforcements, never call the best stuff right away, it's a waste. And you can see that the airstrike keep coming. So NATO was really motivated in terms of just bombarding us non-stop. You know, I sensed that the enemy was now broken, so I brought in some T-80B. While moving my anti-air to blockade the zone and gain air superiority. I exposed them to AMX-40 fire, which probably was a mistake. But the goal here was really to just make sure that no more planes will come and harass us. Especially keeping the command vehicles safe was a priority. while my Mi-24 were suppressing those AMX-40, which decided to pull back. Not sure what they're suppressing here. VDVs. I can see a few of my chopper being a little concerned by enemy anti-air fire. But with those chopper, I kept the enemy from afar, well, as far as possible from the zone as possible. So that kind of made a blockade for the entry of the zone. Then I called in a lot of anti-air, which I will deploy into the forest to make sure that if there's a plane coming in, it will be destroyed. Or it will be destroyed. Now let's check what kind of situation we're in now. I think it's clear that now that the enemy has been broken. So it's all a matter of finishing them off in this zone. Now you can see also that in terms of objective, we're now holding one more zone than the enemy, so we're gaining in terms of points, but there's 55 seconds remaining, so we won't go any further. So this is actually a game which lasted during all the duration that was allowed. I can see a few T-55 AMV, which are actually a pretty good tank. But I will say it's kind of weak for its price. It doesn't resist much fire. And that was it for this battle. And you can see here that I killed 10,000 enemies, in terms of points, of course. And that I lost 6,900, so that was a pretty intense battle. And if we look at what did most of the work, Mi-25, same MiG-21, some special troops, Mi-24, and yeah, that is it. So that was a pretty good round. Now let's go for a round with NATO this time. Which is with the current version of the game. So where do I see that already? Okay, so this is the last game I played, I think. Played that yesterday night or something. So let's go for that. So how did you guys like the previous battle? That was pretty good. Any comments about that? For those that actually saw it. For those which are just joining in, well, you'll see a good battle. Since this is a replay and I'm choosing good battles. Or at least, I rarely have super bad battles, but sometimes it can be a little boring. Because it's not so much that it's boring gameplay-wise, it's just boring to watch because or to see. Because there's not necessarily much action. But in those battles I did, which I'm showing you as replay now, usually it's good fun. Alright, so in this case, I was actually starting here, but I decided to go and help Alf over there. So this will be a battle for the right side. And I must say, in this case, it was a pretty good battle at the beginning. I'm with NATO this time. This is a kind of deck which I'm using, which is American. So it's specialized American. Or US, depending on how you want to call it. So at the beginning, what I did is I brought in Avengers, which is a kind of anti-air that is practical with the American because you can move and fire a missile at the same time, which is something that is not that common, all things considered, for NATO, well, for US, because I also brought Chaparral, which you can see right here, which need to be static to fire, and most NATO units need to be static to fire their anti-air, so it's not necessarily practical. Then I brought those mate AGS, which I think will look around with them for the most part. And I brought some MBT-70, which have missiles, so it's a pretty good tank. I also brought some supply trucks for my anti-air, as you can see now. We had one command vehicle, which my supply truck told to get away from the road. And as you can see, my anti-air are leading the way, which is something very dangerous, but sometimes it's pretty good. Then I had a Kiowa, which is a recon chopper, as you can see by the big round thing on the top. And some Marines and a chopper, well, in UE with the rockets on it. Now if we just check quickly the enemy side. There was at least 3 players, as far as I knew, coming our way. As you can see, the chopper were the first. No, that's not me. Let me get back in my view. There we go. So my Avenger led the way, and as a result of this, they fired on those choppers over there and killed them all, including the infantry in it. So the plan of the enemy to go in there to capture the forest did not work. I also killed the enemy recon. I might have killed other stuff, I'm not too sure. There was a big napalm strike, which was okay. It wasn't particularly amazing for me, and I had time to bring in one Bradley, which is a very good fighting vehicle as far as shooting the enemy super far. And with that Bradley, I moved to kill the command vehicle over there. With my M8, I moved forward. This tank are experimental, specific to a US deck, and they are really amazing. They fire fast, they are accurate, they don't have a particularly amazing armor, but as you can see, this is destruction, so you'll see all the damage that I'm inflicting, and you can see that they are really killing everything. From afar, they are supported by my MBT-70, which are firing missile. But you can see that those mates are leading the charge against some T-72M. I'm wavering a little because I lost one. Actually, I lost 2 since the beginning. I have some chopper here which are suppressing the enemy with rockets, while my Bradley is still suppressing from the side here and destroying the tank in the side as well. I'm moving some Marine toward the buildings, which will allow me to have a good view on whatever is happening over there. Receiving some artillery fire on that side. My Kiowa seemed to have fire his Hellfire on the enemy, so that means that he might have destroyed a few things. While the Bradley is still the focus of the enemy artillery. There is a few T-72M in there, which are rather dangerous. And I'm moving forward with my M8. As you can see, with my Marines leading the way here, we have a good visual on whatever is happening. So as a result of this, my troops are able to suppress whatever shows up. My Bradley here is out of tow missile, which is a bit of an issue. But my M8 are still very active. My MBT-70 also have an autocannon on top, which they use to suppress those conkers in the building there. So that was pretty good. And now the thing is that they end up having a lot of anti-air, but nothing to defend them nearly. So I'm just moving forward with my M8. And those M8 are really good. I'm calling more, and they are actually taking care of whatever is into the forest there. While these here are chasing down the enemy anti-air. My Chaparral managed to kill an Mi-28 over there. While here with my tank, I'm chasing down all alone the enemies. But I think I will probably pull back pretty fast. While those M8 are moving on the flank because I saw some anti-air fleeing. So I will try to get rid of them. You can see that my M8 took care of the T-72 that was blocking the path pretty quickly, as well as some infantry in there. While here, my different anti-air took down the enemy plane. There's a few enemy anti-air which were on the side, which is the reason why I moved that those M8 over there. And here I did an aardvark strike, which killed a couple of vehicles which were into the forest. So it was a pretty good strike. Now I think they were very aware that I was flanking them with the tank. And you can see my tank hitting nearly all the time. And Strobe 2 are really rare. It's a really good unit, so it's a good thing to kill them, even though they are not the most valuable unit of them all. Well, here my MBT 70 are moving a little forward. It's mostly to peek above the hill and shoot whatever shows up. They are being exposed a little on the side there, but they seem to be able to fire missile cannon and fire autocannon as well. With those M8, I'm flanking on the side. My goal here is to really chase away any form of anti-air that might show up. And what's really amazing about those things is how fast they aim. It's crazy. So now at this point, since I was really unsure about what might be in there, which probably ended up being a mistake, because if we actually look what's in there, there's nothing in there. So I decided to pull back a little because I was low in ammo, missile ammo for the most part. So I did not have much confidence, and I was pretty much alone leading the way. So it kind of was a moment to consolidate the position. And they might have been able to bring troops, but I just did not know that yet. Also, these M8 were pulling back very low in ammo, 3 rounds remaining. Now here Alf did actually a bad move, which cost him a few troops. Because those LAV-25 are just no material to fight T-72 from the front. It forced me to bring back my MBT, but I was a little slow, so we did lose a few good men in there. But his M1P Abrams did manage to take care of those T-72. But it's clear that losing those Marine was a bad thing. Also, our supply trucks here were out of ammo, which is a bad thing, especially when you're out of missile. And those, I think these are T-72M, were moving well around the place to avoid my missile. Okay, what else happened? Well, I think at this point I was in a kind of consolidation period because you know, I did not have the means to push forward. MBT 70 are pretty good tank, but they have limits. Alf brought a few more, which was a good news, but mine were just damage. They received an airstrike on the head, which is very unhealthy. And yeah, so they were out of missile. Damage, needed repair. So I brought those HETT. And I was fixing up all this. Also, my M8 AGS were low in ammo because these Sting are super accurate, but they waste. No, they don't waste. They kill a lot, but they lose their ammo pretty quickly. I brought some Super Cobra. I'm not necessarily sure the Super Cobra is the best chopper to have because it has anti-air missile, as you can see here. Some Sidewinder, which are really good actually. But it's just that that kind of put them into a position where they are only good against vehicle with their tow missile. They have a lot of tow missile, but compared to perhaps the other type of chopper, I'm not sure it's necessarily a good thing to use these. So I'm a little puzzled about if I was right or not. They seem to be able to kill a few enemies, so they didn't manage to chase away a T-80U, but it was kind of risky. And the fact that some Cobra have rockets allows them to suppress the enemy and stun them, so it immobilizes them and they're not able to pull back. So as a result of this, it might be a good thing to use the other type of Cobra. Well, here my MBT are still damaged, but they drained away all the supplies I had. As a result of this, it was bad. Here I did the Nardvark strike, which killed a few anti-air. So as you can see here, some OSA, and I think that was perhaps a buck. Yeah, that's a buck. I'm not sure if I lost both my plane, but I probably did lose at least one. So I move my tank forward behind the town here so that enemy ATGM units will not fire at me. Well, here Half brought a few Hawk. I prefer to group up the Hawk because I think when you put a unit of 4 anti-air, it's clear that the enemy will die. But if you spread them into multiple group, I think it might decrease the chance of you hitting the enemy. But that's my impression and not necessarily a proven fact. So here I decided to send my tank toward those buildings, and that was a bad move actually. I probably should have just sent some infantry and it would have been enough to clear that place, but I got stubborn and decided, oh well, these tanks are amazing, they can do whatever. And I think I ended up losing a few of them. Let's say that this group of ATGM units were more numerous than I expected. Although they were pretty slow at shooting. So that's the part where I realized, oh well, that seemed to be a little difficult, so let's pull back. But it was too late. So I guess never overestimate your stuff. Okay, so the situation now was that there was some T-72M, which are actually a good tank. I should not underestimate those guys. But kind of led us not to attack. While my MBT were bombarded non-stop by the enemy near there. Well, at least the enemy really seemed to enjoy dropping big bombs on my MBT. Well, here I brought a Bradley Recon. while pulling back my MBT-70 for repairs. No, the missile missed. And I moved some marine in with choppers. The goal being of killing those enemies into that compound over there. Okay, so landing. Now you can see how my marine actually spotted the enemy in there and how the chopper took care of it pretty quickly. So there was my Bradley nearby, which is the recon Bradley. So what we did now was mostly to build up the defense of that town. But I will say that the Americans are not particularly amazing when it comes to defending a town or taking it. Because they don't have ATGM infantry to defend. They have dragons, or Mountaineer now. Which is an okay unit, but it's certainly not the best. So one unit of transport was suppressing my marine here. My Bradley missile probably took it. Yep. So my Bradley sniped the enemy. And I think the enemy did not like that. So pulling back my Bradley so that I can fix it. Bradley is actually rather expensive for what it does compared to the Pact. Now I sent some chaparral, which were not the best type of chaparral, but I sent 3 of them into the town, and my goal there was mostly to prevent the enemy from sending choppers around, and because they were doing so. But the enemy actually did a good move there. They put a smoke screen, landed a few troops into the town and the square which was not defended. So they were actually able to do a good job against us. I think actually, well, the thing is, I don't think in my deck I had that many proper infantry other than Marines, or actually I had many different type of infantry, but I think I wasn't necessarily confident in whatever I could achieve with them in this context. So what I did instead was sending the Nighthawk. So you can see my Nighthawk flying very slowly. And dropping the bomb. And yeah, that did kill a few, but not that many. So noticing that there was still many enemies around, I sent 2 more Nighthawk. The Nighthawk is really a unit which you need to use with caution, because you don't want to lose it. It's very expensive. But the thing is that in this context, it's actually pretty good to use a Nighthawk because, first of all, the enemy is doesn't have that many anti-air nearby because it will expose them to airstrike or simply tank strike. So that means your Nighthawk might never even be discovered. So I did bombard the town again. That reduced the number of enemy quite a bit, so that saved us some time. While the enemy tank were killed by our MBT. Which probably overwhelmed the enemy with missiles. No, I think Alfie was a little overconfident there, moving his Abrams forward. It's very surprising how Su-24 managed to damage MBT. Because when you look at that, okay, 2 strike managed to kill 1 of my MBT. But the thing is that those bombs are supposed to be mostly against infantry, and I don't remember them being that effective against tank. Or perhaps the MBT might have a paper armor on the top. No, actually it's not that bad. 3 is actually a pretty good defense for airstrike. So my Air Cobra are now shooting their tow missile on the enemy. But they are receiving some stroke 2 fire, so I'm pulling them back. I'm actually very surprised that they did not die. While the artillery doesn't like flying Chinook. And here I did kill 2 planes, which were... what was that? Well, I'm not sure. Maybe Su-22. Now the enemy started to bring tank with missile, which is something that is very dangerous for NATO, because while my MBT-70 are good with missile, I will not compare their effectiveness to be as high as the packed stuff. But you know, it might be an impression there that has no proven ground. So you can see here a few anti-radar planes, which did kill the Hawk, but my Chaparral, which were right there, managed to kill them. But what's important to know here is that it probably did make the enemy realize that we don't have much anti-air. While here my Chaparral was out of ammo, and here there was actually a BMP-3 attack that my Marine took care of. BMP-3 is a really good vehicle from afar. So that ended up into an infantry fight. And I did a Nighthawk strike on those BMP-3. Sadly, they survived. But they only had 2 health remaining. Now the thing is that the Russian now had a lot of ATGM around. Actually, my rifleman killed one small unit of infantry ATGM. While here I sent some Marine to reinforce the town, because they clearly had a foothold over there. In this very friendly place. And they really did not appreciate the fact that my rifleman killed their ATGM infantry over there. While here they seem to be wanting to take that position from my Marines. And now the rocket rain started to fall on us. MLRS can be thing in a battle, because what it does is that it will make the enemy panic and it will prevent them from resupplying your stuff. So over time, it can be a good thing if you want to make your enemy waste all his ammo. Some urban fighting going on here. But the Marines are pretty good at that. They're not the best, but they do the job. Well, here my MBT were under fire from those ATGM infantry over there, so that's why I did not risk them further. But I must say the enemy were really attacking this town well, with a good amount of support nearby. And I did not bring that many amazing units to defend the place, other than Nighthawk, which you can see the explosion of, maybe. Yep. But it killed a few enemies in there. And this really did turn into an artillery fight. But I don't use artillery, so I wasn't really part of that kind of action. Now the thing is that by deploying my troops, my ATGM troops here, what happened is that they it was a waste, because first of all, they will fire on the troop transport, and transport will end up into the town, so they will lose the lock with the missile, which will be very bad. Now you can see how the enemy is actually managing to take the town from us. But we did not send that many reinforcements, so that probably did not help. But up to a certain point, capturing that town or holding that town is not necessarily an objective of any kind. Since in this case it's all about killings. So the more they lost while taking this place, the better. That's a lot of Cobra here. At this point I brought some Bradleys, but I'm not sure if I did anything useful with them. Oh yeah, I remember now what I did with them. And we'll see that. So what I did is I brought a lot of riflemen, I believe, in Bradleys. Bradleys are pretty good at suppressing light vehicle or firing from afar. So that's a good troop carrier for cheap units, like anti-air and riflemen. Or maybe recon stuff. I'm not sure if you're able to do that, but I guess that's useful for that. Well, let me just check, what did they see from us? Okay, so that's what the enemy saw from us, which means not much. So what I did is I unloaded my infantry, and since the Bradley are good from afar, I guess an ATGM fight was a good place for them. Now you can see them firing their tow missile at the enemy over there. In quite a number of missiles. Enough missile that the enemy decided to pull back a little. Well, I sent a large amount of riflemen toward the town. It was kind of suicidal, I would say, but it's for the fun of it. You can see the artillery never lags behind when it comes to suppress my Bradleys. Now you can see those Bradleys suppressing the town. More or less effectively, I'm not sure. but the riflemen are merely a way to provoke a reaction. Now my Bradleys on that side were out of ammo, so I pulled them back quickly, while I kept these to suppress the enemy. But yeah, airstrike, everything. Artillery. I decided to pull him back as well, what remained of it. While my infantry will make a glorious charge into the town. But I think they were a little concerned. I wonder why. So only a few of my troops actually made it. I guess this is why you should perhaps not use riflemen or slow-moving infantry, because they're just too slow at reaching the objective. That's why some special force might be appropriate. And also, there was just too many troops defending this place. Too many infantry. So here I was simply waiting for rearming my troops. There was no way or no reason to risk them into that fight here. Had a Kiowa here. What did I do with that? Somebody decided to make a napalm strike on the town. I'm not much of a fan of napalm strike. I find that most of the time they don't finish the job. It can be okay if you drop a lot of stuff, but other than that, it's usually not as effective. Oh, that A-10 managed to destroy a T-80. That's a good kill. And a large amount of Cobra finally managed to kill a T-80. That's like the best prize to kill a T-80. That's what every NATO unit aspired to. Even anti-air. Small transport vehicle. So that Cobra attack was actually pretty good. It's just that here there was a couple of 10M. These are really good anti-air, actually very fast rate of fire. Managed to kill a few of our Cobras there, which were a little late to the party. And here somebody decided to make a big chopper rush, which did not necessarily make us lose, but did not make us win either. Now, seeing that absurdity, I decided to at least make the best out of it. Or actually, I don't think I had time to do anything about it, but I called in a few airstrikes, but they never reached the target at all. Well, here nothing will happen anymore. And that is it. So that was a draw. That was a pretty good round. Let's see how well I did. I did 4,000 killed, 2,000 loss. Well, that was pretty good. Let's see what was effective. My Avenger at the beginning were really effective, as you can see. They killed a couple of choppers, some Su-22. My Bradleys did kill quite a few Tunguska. That's surprising. That must be the Bradley from the beginning. Yeah, I did kill a command vehicle. So that Bradley move was really amazing. My M8 did kill quite a few, as you can see here. They are pretty much the one that did most of the job. They did kill a lot of T-72. Nighthawk did kill a lot of infantry. But the thing with the Nighthawk is using them to kill infantry might not be the best investment, because you're risking perhaps too many points for very little return. So that was it for this game. And I think that will be it for this live broadcast as well, because I did that for about 1 hour and a half, but it's time for me to take a break. So I'll see you guys later on the next live broadcast, probably tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you.